I am R1 Cameron, and this is the Conduit. All right, y'all. You know what it is. It's 1:30 on a Wednesday. It's hump day. All right. This month is almost coming to a close. It's going so fast. October was a blip. 54 degrees in Kitsap County, everyone. I hope your day is going well. I know that mine is going well. Grateful and thankful to be here. I am blessed and highly favored. I am your host, Marwan Cameron. This is the Conduit. Feeling pretty good. Partly because I'm on drugs. I'm just getting out of surgery. I actually thought that I was going to maybe have to reschedule today's podcast because of the surgery. They don't tell you until the day before what time your surgery is. So, I'm like, oh man, is it going to be in the morning? Is it going to be in the afternoon? Is it going to be late, afternoon? Which those are the worst because, you can't eat 24 hours before the surgery. You got to stop eating at 11 p.m., right? No matter what time the surgery is the next day, you're done. So I'm like, oh man, this is going to be horrible. I'm going to be dying. But I got kind of a late morning surgery time. And I got to say, this is the fastest that I was in and out. So it's a little, information. What I have degenerative disc and joint disease in my spine. And so what they do is they go in with these lasers. You have to be awake for it. And on my L3, L4, and L5, they put this laser inside your body, and then they burn away your nerve, right? And so, like I said, you got to be awake, and then they got to do it twice to ensure that it's destroyed, and that gives you a little bit of pain relief. Unfortunately, I'm like Wolverine. I've got a healing factor, so my nerves grow back. I think he was saying 1 millimeter per month, which is pretty fast, right? That's pretty quick. So, I have this procedure like once every year and a half. There's been maybe a few times where I've had it in less than a year because my healing factor, my mutant gene was kicked into overdrive. So, it is what it is. But I'm here. Like I said, I'm blessed. I'm highly favored. Um, Unfortunately, I had just got the right side of my spine done, and then I got COVID. So, of course, they're not going to let you in until you're well past that. So, I'm just getting this other side done today. So, it is what it is. So we do have a programming update. We're not going to have our business consultants come on today. I did meet with them, and they they didn't even want to talk to me. They're like, "What do you mean you just got out of surgery?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I got my cane today." You know what I'm saying? I mean, I still got all my my surgery bracelets on, and they're like, "No, we're not doing this. You gotta go get some rest." And I'm like, "No, work got to be done." It's just, again, that's how my dad raised me. So, you do the work and you keep pushing. And so for me, I can sit here and be in pain and just kind of rest or watch TV, or I can be productive. And so for me, I choose to be productive. If I have the energy to put in work and get it going, then that is what I'm going to do. So that's what I'm doing, but they did ask, can we reschedule for 2 weeks? Erica, shout out to her. She is having some voice problems, so she's consulting for a lot of organizations right now. So she's like, can we, put this off? So we are going to come back the same time in 2 weeks, and we will have uh, that podcast on business consulting and getting into the nonprofit sector, things to be thoughtful about. And so you can pose your questions. I think there's ways that you can set up a consultation with them. And so she's awesome. And if you've read in the description, she's an NYU grad, just a really powerful resume, and awesome pedigree. So definitely, you are not going to want to miss that. Try to pick up my phone here as it drops. So you're not going to want to miss that. That will be in 2 weeks. We do have a show tonight. I don't have it set yet, but you will see that. I'm going to create it as soon as this podcast ends. And tonight will be the continuation with myself, Pastor Ellington, and his brother, the Doc. And there may be a few other people that are going to join us. So looking forward to that. So we're gonna pick up on that. Are Christians going to hell and do they know it? So we'll continue that conversation. I told him, hey Doc, or hey Rev, you're gonna be you have an advantage tonight because I'm on drugs today. So I can't make any legal decisions. I can't drive. So you got me at a disadvantage. So it's like go ahead and do your thing. So that should be a lot of fun tonight. So we'll continue that conversation. And then, of course, tomorrow we'll have our show at the Black Ring Spirits for the workshop. Tomorrow's The Four Agreements, the book, The Four Agreements by is it Miguel Ruiz Miguel or Miguel Ruiz. I used to actually teach from that book. But The Four Agreements is really great. Should be a fantastic discussion tomorrow night. That will be from 6:30 to 8:30, as always. And shout out to Resiliency Econo Systems. Sounds like the workshop has caught on, so much so that they are starting a new class on Tuesday. So while this class is already 4 or 5 weeks in, people don't want to miss and come in the middle. They're actually going to start a class on Tuesday. So if you want to get in on that, just go ahead and reach out to us or reach out to Mark over there at Resiliency Econo Systems. I'll have to get their information on there. But for now, you can reach out to me and I'll make sure that we get you in the workshop. So definitely do that. Let's see what else is going on today. Shout out to a special boy. Happy birthday to Jordan, having his happy birthday. I hope you enjoy your birthday, young man. I have a gift for you. So I hope that you will enjoy your gift. You won't be able to do anything with it, but it's a gift that I think that is important for our children. So um, I know he's not seeing this right now. So what we're gonna do is create a savings account for him and put $100 in there. Uh, Jordan is I think 11 today. And so it's important to establish those habits and teach those skills early. So we're gonna start $100 savings account for him, and then hopefully get him involved in some of these financial literacy opportunities there. So shout out to Up From Slavery. The next time they're doing something for kids, I think that would be great for him and other kids to get involved in. That's something that they didn't teach in school, and it's something that we have to have at the core of who we are. We must have financial literacy. We must understand the value of a dollar. At this point, you need to understand cryptocurrency. You need to understand stocks. You need to understand all kinds of things that aren't taught. And it's up to us to do that. So, happy birthday to you! I hope you have a blessed day. You have a good day, and look forward to seeing your happiness. So yeah, shout out to him. Let's see what else is happening today. I don't even know if I should actually get into a show since I'm going in on some other stuff later on. With the Rev, um, just kind of thinking about the conversations that we've had this week. Uh, as you know, I've been very concerned about this moratorium on eviction expiring. I've been very concerned about that. And I believe that I'm seeing things that other people are not seeing, or maybe they're like, well, I mean, it's there, but I mean, what do you want us to do? It is what it is. So I don't know what I'm just concerned. You know what I'm saying? I think the people that are going to be impacted here in the near future and into 22 and 23 have no idea how hard this is going to be for them. Again, the bridge program for eviction, the moratorium, is expiring here on October 31. I believe that this is going to impact a great majority of our population across every demographic. Doesn't matter, right? If you are a homeowner or a property owner, it's going to affect you, right? Hopefully for the positive, because at that point, uh, you will be able to collect your rent or submit your go through the eviction process. And as we shared on Monday, there are some new processes in, so there is going to be a delay. And in the example that we showed, it could take up until January, even if you started the proceedings November 1, right? So that's a concern. And so when we think about folks that are renting, that have had challenges paying their rent, and the holidays are coming up if they have kids, and they're like, well, we want to have a good holiday and this and that. And so you're you're being hit with capitalism, right? You're being hit with your domestication on how you were raised. You're being hit with um my parents made Christmas important. You're being hit with, maybe you have October, November, and December birthdays, or January birthdays. So you're being hit with all these things, right? You're being hit with Black Friday. Maybe you've been waiting and trying to save up some money to get that washer and dryer, or a large appliance that you are like, you know what, I'm gonna wait for it to go on sale and I can go ahead and get it. And you've been planning this out, and it's a need, not a want, and here you are facing this scenario in this situation. We know that rent has increased. We know rent will continue to increase. We know that rent is already not affordable, right? And again, it's not affordable for the renter. The property owner or the property manager is like, I haven't been getting all of my rent. I haven't been able to pay my bills. Maybe this is a supplement to my income. Maybe I'm a retiree and this is my main source of income, right? This is going to impact a lot of people. And again, if you have struggled paying your rent, if you have received that eviction so that you can get rental assistance, right? Because that's one of the requirements, right? You have to you know, get that eviction letter. If you find yourself in a situation where, hey, it's not just the rent that I couldn't pay for. I haven't been able to pay some of my other bills. My credit cards are backing up. Now my payments are late. Maybe something has gone to collections over the last year and a half. Maybe my car note is behind. Hopefully they haven't taken my car. You know, I was sharing with you a few months ago that I didn't know now that when you buy a car from the lot, they've got this kill switch. And if you don't make your payment, they kill your car and they got a tracker on it and they come and they get it. I'm like, wow, because what would happen is, folks they couldn't make their payment. They would just move their car somewhere. And hey, how you doing there, Rob? They moved their car somewhere and the repo man in the dealership couldn't find it, so they were okay. So now having a kill switch on there is pretty crazy. Would you mind grabbing me a fork, sir? And maybe a paper towel. Shout out to Rob. Rob was took me to my surgery today, and brought me back. And of course, as I was saying before, you have a surgery, you can't eat. So this is my first meal from yesterday. Shout out to Deborah. She said that what is this? Happy teriyaki? Happy Teriyaki has some ridiculous pork chops. So we about to find out, Miss Deborah, on if these pork chops are the truth or not. We about to find that out. So it's like, all right, I got my first meal. What is it gonna be? I got a cup of coffee, so I'm feeling good about that. You heading back out? All right, I appreciate you. I will we'll touch base soon. Uh you're awesome. Thank you, sir. Very much appreciate that. Again, your circle of support and your circle of influence, you need to build that. Do you have folks that you can count on when you need them, like a situation like this, right? Sorry, I'm sniffling, but my allergies are really bothering me here. Do you have someone that you can count on? Do you have someone who is not toxic to you that you can count on? Many times that person that has that car or has that whatever it is that you need, right? They have that access. They can provide that to you. May not be the best people for you to be around. Or there's a whole bunch of drama that you got to go through in order to get what you need to get from them, right? You need a ride, and the ride comes with a whole bunch of caveats. You need a ride, and you got to ride all over town with them. You need a ride. Well, you got to watch the kids for a day and a half. There can always be something. And again, there should be some give and take. I'm not saying that folks should just do things for you without any return on that. But at the same time, we know that oftentimes it can be a challenge, right? Maybe there are folks that, you know, put you in a bad situation where you're going to make some bad decisions, right? Now look at Rob. He's multitasking, right? He's checking on my video and my audio at the same time. And so by you being around this person, and this could be family, which is unfortunate, they could cause you to make bad decisions. Maybe it's drinking, maybe it's drugs, maybe it's um, not attending to um, your responsibilities and your duties. Maybe it's negative thinking. Maybe they put you in a bad space. You know, Shout out to Sabrina and her vibes, right? Maybe they give you bad vibes, and so you're feeling and trying to be positive, and when you're around this particular person out of necessity, they change your vibe, right? And you're trying not to be impacted by that, but they're going to undoubtedly say or do something that is going to put you in a space that you don't want to be in, but you have no other option, right? That's hard, that's difficult. And so it's important that you increase your circle of support, your circle of influence. Again, even more so now, right? When we started this podcast in February, that was one of the questions that we were asking the guests that came on. And the challenge that I tried to I did issue it, right? Is try to meet 5 new people every month and build your circle of influence, build your circle of support, and cultivate it. It's not enough just to meet a new person, but you also have to build that relationship. And so I'm happy to say I'm continuing to do that. It's not always easy, but it does get easier through practice. Many of us are very introverted. And so we find it difficult to meet other folks. We're not trusting, right? We've been hurt. Um, you have to make yourself vulnerable, and or we don't have that skill set, right? How much do I share of myself with another person? And is that person going to use that? I'm trying to be authentic. I want them to get to know me as a person, which kind of requires me sharing some things with them. But what do I share? How does this grow into a positive relationship? You know, well, that can be really challenging if you haven't done that with purpose, and you haven't done that, um, and you don't know how to go about doing it, right? And then what does that require? Because at the same time, yeah, you're telling me to build this circle of influence and this circle of support, right? But now does that mean that I need to start doing a bunch of stuff for these folks? I don't have enough time in the day to do the little things that I got to do. So, that's not really going to work out because I don't want to. be in a position where, people feel like I'm using them, right? It's like, oh yeah, I met this person and they're great and they could do these things for me and that's awesome, but I'm not really in a position to do anything for them. So, well, maybe I just can't do it right now. People can think that way. I got a nice little salad there. So I'll go ahead and give a shameless plug to Sunny Teriyaki there. Let me see if I can't get that on the camera. So uh, Miss Deborah says that these pork chops are no joke. So we're gonna go ahead and try these grilled pork chops. Probably not um, a typical thing that you would think that you would get at a teriyaki restaurant, but we're gonna check it out. They got the grill marks in there, so it's looking fantastic. So we're gonna go ahead and bite into that. So I would ask for your forgiveness. Now, I guess I should have told um, Mr. Rob to bring a knife there because I'm not try to be a Neanderthal and just eat the pork chop with my hands. But I am gonna have to bite this, y'all, while we are on the podcast because I ain't eaten in a while and I'm hungry. Okay, I'm just bless this real quick. Lord, thank you for this food that we're about to receive for the nourishment of our body. In His name, Amen. All right, go ahead and get a bite of this rice real quick. Uh oh. Uh oh. Oh man, we might have a winner. It's tasting pretty good. Oh boy. Okay. Well. Oh, Happy Teriyaki. All right. Shout out to Happy Teriyaki on the corner of what, Warren and Sixth Avenue, I think. All right, that's good. That grilled pork chop is the truth. Mm-mm-mm. You know what I'm saying? Man, I'm gonna have to go ahead and use my all-purpose knife because I can't get up right now, so I can cut this pork chop. When it's good, it's a poke chop. There's no R in that pork. Oh man! Wow. Hmm. Well, Rob, you might need to try this out. Mhm. That's good. Well, it's giving me an idea. I think maybe what me and Sabrina, maybe a couple other people should do is we kind of we did our mukbang last Friday, is maybe support some of our black restaurants out here and try out some of their menu items on Friday while we have our podcast. That might be kind of cool. I actually don't go out to eat very often. And so I do love supporting local business. And so that might be a good way to kill several birds with one stone. And if you know me, you know that I love murdering birds. I mean, my favorite thing I think is murdering birds with stones. So the more that I can kill with one stone, oh man, the ricochet, wow, that's pretty dark. All right, that's good stuff. But again, the circle of influence, the circle of support. When you have surgery, when you have sedation, they typically require one that you have a driver. You can't use a cab company. Can't use Kitsap Transit. That person has to take you to the procedure. that person has to wait with you while you have the procedure done. Now, because of COVID, they've relaxed that a little bit. So, they have the driver's phone number. They have to kind of stay in the area because they're also trying to push people through, right? So you can't have this backup because you went back to work or you went and ran errands and did all this other stuff. And they're like, we don't have another place for another person to come out of their post surgery, right? You got to do their blood pressure, make sure that they're not having any side effects. You got to get the IV out of their arm and do all that stuff, right? And do all that release paperwork. And so it's kind of this well-oiled machine. And then that person has to drive you home. And with the surgery like mine, they also require that someone stay with me for the day, right? I can't be left alone. I could fall asleep and not wake up. I could, I don't know, have a seizure. I guess there's a whole bunch of different things that could happen. And so all of these things are requirements. Well, if you don't have these relationships with folks, right? If you are like some of us who are maybe in the foster care system or have been adopted, or you're not close with your parents, you don't have siblings, maybe your relationship isn't good with them, or they're not in a situation where they can take off, then what do you do? How do you get the procedure done? And I've been getting this surgery done since my time at OC. So we're talking about 2012, right? Is when I started there, and most of my circle of influence and my circle of support, many of those folks were employees of the college, right? So it's like, hey, don't teach your class today. I need you to go and take me to surgery. Don't advise students today. I need you to take off work, lose out on money, and take me to get this surgery done. And it's just not. It's not really. It can't be done. And so, and you can tell folks, hey, look, this is my scenario. This is my situation. I really need this to happen, but I have no one that can do what I need to do. And it's kind of like, well, you gotta find it in order for it to work. And like I said, the challenge is if you don't have if you don't have relationships, or if you don't have good relationships, or those relationships are toxic, then you find yourself in a really bad situation. So not something that you want to see. And so we got to find some ways to support folks that find their way into that scenario. Um, One of the things that we're excited about is, we've been working with one of these local offices for folks that are getting their chemo. And so we're able to take them to their appointments and get them home. And so we're hoping to be able to scale that up. And we are working on being able to accept Medicare and Medicaid. So stay tuned for that. We're working hard on that. Um, you know, we hope to have that paperwork done by the beginning of next year, and go through whatever hoops we need to go through so that we can, um, provide more service to folks that are in that situation. And it's tough. I think about my experience and growing up. I have a big family, right? But I was adopted into that family, and right now, my one of my older brothers, died 2 years ago in 2019. I only have one other brother who lives here in Washington. The entire rest of my family is on the East Coast. Um, and so that's it's not like Layla can take me to the to my surgery, right? So that's difficult. That's difficult. Um, when we see the run on supplies, toilet paper, paper towels, food shortages, the increase in gas prices, all the things that we're watching right now. If you don't have that support, if you get sick, who's going to go to the store for you? Who's going to run that errand for you to make sure that you have what you need? These are things that, you have to put into place. And I cannot, um, emphasize that enough, right? Not enough. And again, to circle back, as the moratorium expires, for those of us that have, challenges with our credit, and maybe we had challenges before the pandemic, but now it's worse. For those of us that maybe have a criminal history that's current and can cause us to have a hard time getting into a space. For those of us that, don't have a voucher, but uh, don't have that job history. So, how do you document that you've been on your job long enough that you're able to pay your bills? And you're not going to move in. You can pay that first, last, and deposit, and then by month 3, you're already behind on your rent. How do you prove that, right? How do you prove that, hey, if you were told to, you have to wait until you're in eviction status in order to get um, rental assistance or eviction assistance, how that may impact you 2 or 3 years from now, uh, when things are stable and you just need to move, right? Well, hopefully things are stable, but you need to move. How is that going to impact you when the next property management company or landlord is looking at your application and listening to your story? If you're even able to tell your story, is that going to knock you out? We think of the price of rent, housing in Seattle. It's high, right? It's high here. Is that going to drive more people from Kitsap County or Pierce County to say, hey, man, I got to commute, but rent is $600 cheaper and my commute is not $600. So I'm going to come over here. What happens if we get another carrier that comes in to dry dock with their 5,000 folks? What are we going to do? What are the jobs that are going away? And many of them are going away so quickly. Uh, we're not even seeing it. It almost feels like it's overnight, right? I mean, there was a time when they had baggers and checkers, and now there's self checkout. And why does it seem like you have more people in the store, but you go in? All right, so this is weird to me. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We're wearing masks inside. So why is it that Walmart and Safeway and many other of these grocery stores and retail stores only have one or two checkers? So now you're creating these huge lines where we're all piled up together, and our interaction with each other is even longer. It's not passing, we're just standing. It's like, open up more lines. Get us through, get us in, get us out. So why is that? Is it maybe not the pay, because they're paying pretty good, right? Everyone's kind of offering increase in pay. Is it because they have 100 or more employees that they need to have a mandatory vaccination, and so they're having some challenges there? Is it, and I can tell you a big part of that is their model, right? So agencies, they look at everything is associated with the dollar, right? And so they look at the cost of opening another stand. Right? They've got to pay that person. How many people is that going to speed up? Right? Is it actually going to push people through faster? And then what's the impact? Is it good to push people through faster from the retailer's point of view or not? So there's a lot of things that go into it, but we're seeing longer lines, right? So it just seems so counter to being what would be best. And it drives me crazy. I hate going to the store. And it's like you see all these check stands. And it's like, why do you only have two open? Call tag someone in, get these lines down, and then go back down to two. What's crazy is 'Cause I go to Safeway last week, and this isn't national stuff, right? This is local. I'm at the Safeway on Callow, picking up my prescription and a couple items. And a little bone there. Sorry about that. When I got there, line's fine. It's not bad. And then that Murphy's Law, you go into the grocery store, you're weaving up and down the aisles, right? There's no line, or there's only one or two people in the line. It's like, all right, yeah, let me hurry up and finish. There's no one in the line. You go down an aisle, you're going the opposite way of the check stand. You flip around and you come back down the next aisle, and all of a sudden there's like 8 people in the line. You're like, what the hell happened? I didn't even see all these people in the aisles. Like, where did they come from? And their buggies are all full. Like, what is going on? Right? And it's just like, man, why did I go down that aisle? I should have just left while I was winning, you know? And oftentimes it's like something that you really didn't need. It's like, man, I'm in here, I'm getting hungry, I'm funny and sure sound good. It's something that you don't need. So you go down this aisle, right? And you come back down and it's full. And you're just like, ugh. So we go over to self-checkout, which is open. It's full, but self-checkout is open. There's a line there. And then there's 2 check stands, and the line is like, a good fifth of the way down the aisle. And they're having to create a gap so people can weave through to get through. We get to the self-checkout. Oh, sorry. We're shutting down the self-checkout. And it's like, why? We don't have any employees. Bunch of employees left. A bunch of employees left? Yeah. Why? Well, I don't know. So, you know, I get it. I'm not going to be mad at the gentleman who is shutting it down, right? He has no impact on that. He's not a manager. I'm sure he's feeling it, right? You're frustrated if you've ever worked in a situation where all of a sudden there's a rush and an onslaught of customers or crisis, and you're trying to deal with it. And customers, we've typically, most of us have worked and served in those positions at some point in time in our life. But when we're experiencing it, we have no empathy for that. It's like, I need to check my stuff out, get some people over here right now. What the hell is wrong with y'all? So the empathy is out it's just gone. And so he says, yeah, a whole bunch of people left. And so we got to shut it down. Well, I'm thinking that's even more reason to keep it open, right? Because each person can check themselves out. Um, but what he was doing, he was shutting it down so he can open up a third check stand, which, if you've ever gone through self checkout, sometimes folks just don't need to go through self checkout. It's like, I you just don't belong here. That's not your strong suit. I mean, it's not even your suit. It ain't even your bad suit. Just don't go through the self checkout. You need to go right through the regular line. And that thing is finicky. You're trying to scan these weird items. You put it in the bag, but then if you got to move it, then it starts tripping because it's all weighed. And so now it's like, oh, please put it back on. And then you got to wait for it to reset. Or you've got a lot of stuff in the self check and there's no place to put it. And so, yeah, it just causes all these issues. You want to put your gallon of milk on the floor, but then wants to make sure that you actually paid for it and you ain't doing nothing slick. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Not a perfect system by any means. But that was the experience, right? And so right now, if I needed to go to the store, well, can't really do that today. Not a good idea. I need to rest. I can't exert any energy. I don't want to hurt myself after getting this done, right? So they're saying, nope, you need to rest, lay down, don't do anything. But if you need it, how do you get it? Where's your circle of support? Where's your circle of influence? Who are those people, or who is that person that you can count on that's there for you? And from a reciprocity standpoint, are you there for them? Doesn't have to be the same way, but it could be in another way, right? Maybe you're a good listener, right? Maybe you uh, are able to provide sound counsel or ideas, or you're a person that helps someone else not feel lonely, right? You offer friendship, companionship. So it looks different, but it's tremendously important. But again, as the moratorium expires, we are going to see evictions start to hit across the country. But right now, I'm concerned with our city, our county, right? And whether that process is going to take until January or not, it's going to happen. And as we were watching from the commissioners meeting yesterday, some of the landlords are like, look, I was willing to try to deal with the rental assistance program, but it's taken too long. And, I don't know what's going on. Maybe have not the greatest relationship with the tenant. And so I'm not going to go through this again. So the next tenant I have that might need some help, I'm just going to evict him, just not even dealing with it, because of how the process works. So remember, all these things affect each other either directly or indirectly. So if you're being an ass to your landlord, it's like, you can't evict me. So I don't know what to tell you, but you can't do nothing to me, right? They remember that. If you're tearing up their property, they remember that. And so when the next person that comes behind you that has a similar situation, they're like, nope, nope. You write your resume every day. You write your resume every day in so many different scenarios. I tell folks all the time, you know, makes me wonder. It's like, what's better, a small town or a big town? In a big town, you're anonymous, right? You can go around everywhere. Very, very few people are going to know you, recognize you, see you. In a small town, everybody sees you. Everybody knows who you are, right? Oh yeah, Mr. Cameron, I saw you at 6 o'clock driving at da 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 da, and you were doing this. Like, how do you know that? Yeah, because it's a small town, and I know your car, and I see it, and So anything that you say or do is more likely to get out in a small town. So which is better, being in a small town or being in a big town? Small town's great because the relationships can be, you know, a lot deeper, a lot of opportunity for friendships because people are using the same businesses and services, right? Similar, same area. But then it could be bad too, right? You fall out with someone and it's like the Hatfield and McCoys, and now you hate each other into eternity. And then how do you get past that? Well, you don't, because I don't mess with such and such. We don't talk to them people. We don't deal with this. We don't support that business. And we can't get past, right? But it's a small town. So ain't a lot of other options to go anywhere else. And right now, when you think of the numbers, we're so few, we're not really in a capacity to have that luxury. Because we need every single person. We need every single organization. So which one's better? Which one's worse? So, when I was at the college, Layla was a little younger. She loves the park. So we go to the park. She loved playland at the mall. Get to play with the other kids, jump around. Every single time we went anywhere. We go to the grocery store, still like that a lot now. But hey, Mr. Cameron, how you doing? This is what I got on my grade. I need to pick out these classes. I'm getting ready to graduate. I need some money. I failed the class. What do? I need some help with this. I need an extension on my paper. You just get everything, right? And it's like, uh, this is Safeway. I'm with my daughter right now. You come see me on Monday. I got a bad habit of just trying to help people all the time anyway, right? But that support that's built in is important. And we need to build on that infrastructure. It's one of the reasons that I think the resiliency econo systems is so important in their Kitsap Resiliency Project and the workshop. We do have our communities. We have our sub communities, whether it's a church or a league, a community, kids play football, right? All kinds of little sub communities that exist. But how effective is that community? Do you have something in place officially to help each other? I can't get to practice, can't get my kid to practice, but I can call this person. Maybe my kid is having a problem with math. One of the parents good at math that can help with that. Can you build it? Or can you reinforce it and build it up? Sometimes you might have to create it. And then how do you build some of your sub communities together into larger communities of self sufficiency? Yeah, that's what I'm really interested in. Because when the pandemic hit, I felt like there wasn't a lot of support for us by us. When you talk to folks individually, they'll say, "Oh yeah, well the church did this," and or these folks did this over here, but we're still so very siloed off. Mm. So what are you going to do? You got to do something. Yeah, get that public health on. Said August, September numbers were going up. October numbers are coming down. Coming down, not in a great place. And what's happening? We got Halloween Sunday. We've got Thanksgiving. Hell, we got Black Friday. We have Christmas and we have New Year's Eve. And we have winter is coming. Are we going to see a spike in the virus? When Kitsap Public Health comes on Monday, they'll have some information on the Delta Plus. But what happens if we experience another spike? For those of you that are against vaccine mandates or vaccine passports, chicken and the egg. If you don't wear your mask, if you don't social distance, you're going to see a correlation of folks that are getting sick. The more they get sick, the more the hospitals get full. That's when you start hearing the conversation about mandatory vaccination. That's when you hear the story, mandatory passport, vaccine passport. So if we want to avoid it, we've got to do the lesser thing so they don't force the greater thing on us. To me, that just seems like common sense. And I don't mean common sense as a dig. Seems logical, reasonable. How bad does it have to get? Do they start shutting down businesses again? Do they start shutting down restaurants? Do they start closing their doors? Bremerton Housing Authority said they just reopened their doors, right? If there's a spike, assumptively, they're going to have to go back to closing their doors. Maybe they have to start cutting back on hours because, well, we got to shut the dining room down. We don't let anyone come in. They can only come through the drive-through, and I'm just thinking about food. And then how many months does it take, right? Because there's the indicators, the lag. So we have the holiday, we have the event, and then it's going to take a couple of weeks for those folks to start displaying their sickness and show up in the hospitals and everything else. And so there's going to be a lag on the other side too, right? But if we have Halloween, Black Friday, Thanksgiving, Kwanzaa, Christmas, New Year's, we don't have these big swatches of time where we can go up and down because we're not together. Here, it's going to look like this, right? Like a heartbeat. Boop, boop, boop. But it may be doing this as it goes up. Not a good scenario. The eviction moratorium is expiring. And even if we experience this, I do not think there's the political will or the political strength, especially going into midterms, to reinstitute uh, eviction program. So what are folks gonna do? In the dead of winter, it's cold. You can be evicted now. The landlords, the property managers, they need their rent. Some haven't been getting paid at all. They're behind. It's their livelihood also. I just want you guys to be cognizant of it. And as I said before, Vice President Harris telling folks all these shipping containers, we're having an issue with our supply chain. You should get your Christmas presents now. I think it's so dangerous and destructive to the working class and poverty, folks in poverty. I think it's tremendously destructive, right? We're in this capitalistic, is that a word? Capitalist society. We have this commercialization of these holidays. We have domesticated and raised our children to have their own addictions toward I must have. Gonna die if I don't have it. And the parent is feeling guilty. I need you to have this. I want you to have this. And all of us as parents have felt that way. Right? That's why there's the you have the conversation. It's like, well, the generation before wants to do better by their kids than the one previous. So during the silent age, you know, they wanted to do better for their kids than those that, had to come through the depression era. And my grandfather is putting rice in a or shrimp in a cheesecloth and running water through it to get the shrimp flavoring. But it's a luxury to have a piece of shrimp. So here we are buying stuff 40 and 60 count, and he's got 8 shrimp. And it's trying to get the juice from the shrimp to flavor what he's cooking. So he wants a better life for his kids, which is my dad. So we have the boomer generation that just kind of, I think they lost it. Then you have the Gen Xers and on so. And each generation wants to do better by their kids, give them more access, more opportunities. And with commercialization and capitalism, as destructive and disgusting as it is right now, we get caught up into it, right? They're marketing to the kids. Oh, you got to have this cereal. You got to have this toy. Oh, you got to do this. You got to do that. All that dopamine is just dumping constantly. And then parents, you're not a good parent if you're not doing this for your kid. You need to be spoiling them. You need to buy this. You need to buy that. You need to do this. You need to do that. And we're going to have you so wired in your mind that if you don't do those things, you're a bad parent. You're a piece of crap. How dare you not do that for your kids? That's scary. And it's effective. And then you have parents that are prioritizing the holidays more so than their situation. They're prioritizing the holidays. Many folks are doing okay. Their rent is on time, their mortgage is on time, everything is good. But many of us are one medical emergency away from not being able to pay the bills, of facing homelessness, facing eviction or foreclosure. Hmm. Those that are doing well, it's like, hey, I can go ahead and get this stuff, right? I've been responsible. Everything is worked out. Get that PS5 this year. I'm gonna get this year for the kids. I'm gonna do this. And not seeing the increase in the gas prices and the shortages and the supply chain issues, the inflation. So when and if it hits, then they're in a bad situation because they don't have that rainy day. Hell, with all the things we were talking about, bomb cyclone. What the hell? It's October. What are we doing with power loss? I'm watching the news. I think I'm watching King 5 News, and they're talking about how some people, it's been more than 24 hours, they still don't have power. Like, that's winter for Washington, Western Washington. Dealing with that now. That wasn't on the agenda. That wasn't part of the conversation. Bomb cyclone, losing power in mid-October. What? Hmm. Please, folks. Create and or cultivate your circles of support, your circle of influence. Get to know your neighbor. Knock on the door, maybe introduce yourself. Create those relationships. Identify who has different knowledge, skills, and abilities that would be good for your group. Make sure you can trust those folks that are in your group, because they can have folks in your group that are not healthy for your group. So that's important too. What could happen? How are you going to prepare? Savings is important, but preparedness right now in this climate, absolutely mandatory and necessary. Just saying. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro. Yeah. All right. All right. We got a show tonight, 6:30, 7 p.m. with Pastor Ellington. So come back and join us then. Just wanted to come on for a little bit, let you know that the business consulting from Erica Duncan. Shout out to her. She is in Spain. What time is it right now? Woo. 11:30 at night in Spain. She will be on in 2 weeks. So get your business questions together. I will see you tonight. I am Marwan Cameron. This is The Conduit. And again, happy birthday.